Maybe the time of day varies a little bit, but from what I've seen, pretty clutch. Reason I usually gravitate towards these two, I feel like. So you're thinking about coming to Thailand this year, 2024. When I first got here in 2022, I honestly didn't really look up any of the apps or websites or anything that I should be using, which was not very smart. So from 2022 to 2024, what apps have I figured out? What sites am I using? What apps do I think are essential for you to have if you're planning on being in Thailand this year? Disclosure, this is not a sponsored video. None of these apps or websites have kicked me any money to say that I use them more than I do. These are legit. Now, minus the ones that we mentioned in this video, there might be other ones that I use, more frequently, through all my time in Thailand. I made another video going into more of like the day-to-day type apps. These are ones that I think are just kind of essential to have in general. Skyscanner. Now, whether you're planning on moving around in Thailand or maybe even getting to Thailand, flights are essential, and there's so many third-party booking sites. Fell off for a while. I used to use it years ago, and then it seemed like everybody figured it out. It got really expensive, but now it seems like you're getting good deals again. And now a big difference is you can bundle hotels with your flight. So I have found a couple sweet deals like that, but even if I might look around at quite a few places, I feel like I almost always end up circling back to Skyscanner. So this is one that I had a friend actually put me onto pretty recently. And I'll tell you, you don't really realize how much you might need a local phone number in your country, especially if you're planning on using the same apps, or especially if you're doing some banking stuff, which we'll get into a little bit later. You're gonna need a phone for like two-step verifications, or whether you need to make phone calls home a lot. International calls still get super expensive. List a phone number from over 200 different countries. There's a free version, there's a paid version. If you are gonna be needing to use it frequently for more than just text messages, if you are gonna be especially making a lot of phone calls, you're probably gonna need to upgrade to the paid version. I've only used the free so far, but if that is important, if you do need to have a local phone number, I think from what I saw, the annual plan is super cheap. I think it's like $5 a month or something like that. Any of the Thai bank accounts. Now, especially if you're planning on being here long term, it's totally feasible to rely mostly on cash. Even when it comes to like bills and stuff, there are a lot more options to pay in cash in Thailand than there are in America, especially. But if you're gonna be here for a while, it can be totally worth it to get a Thai bank account, because once you open that account, you get access to that bank's app, and it allows you to do like simple stuff like cardless ATM withdrawals, so you don't have to worry about losing your debit card, which is nice. You could transfer money between other people on the app. You can scan the QR codes. So there are quite a few things that make it worth it. It'll also end up saving you on ATM fees. Even if you are trying to go mostly cash, you're gonna end up using ATMs frequently. You can't really avoid it. And not to mention, I tried to withdraw in the bank recently with just my passport, which multiple people have said is a thing. They looked at me like I was crazy and said they didn't do that. So I don't know if that was just a one-off situation. So that is something to think about. If you're gonna be here for, especially longer than, a few months, I would recommend getting a Thai bank account so you can have access to those apps. Now, when it comes to hotels and things like that, I'm really honestly using a lot of sites that have been around for a while. They're probably not as popular in America, but the main ones that I feel like I use pretty frequently are Agoda and Booking.com. I did use Agoda a little bit in America. I've used it much more here. The differences between the two, I feel like Agoda a lot of the time has a lot more options. It just seems like they partner with a lot more people. Reason I usually gravitate towards these two, I feel like, is one, I've had customer service experiences with both. The thing I'm sure you know with using third-party apps, if something changes or a reservation needs to be moved or a flight time gets changed or something like that, it can be a little bit hectic to try to talk to the right people. I've had to do that with both Agoda and Booking, and both times worked out well. And compared to other sites, I don't notice a drastic difference in price. Only thing with those two is the reviews can kind of be a little bit all over the place on both sides of it. So if you do find somewhere that you're interested in, I recommend just going to maybe a couple more sites or apps, whatever, and just kind of cross-referencing any spots that you might want to stay. When it comes to any money moving stuff, I've found myself using Wise. I've had it since I pretty much got to Thailand, but for the first year or so, I didn't use it too often. In the past 6 months or so, I've used it quite a bit more. From what I've seen and other sites that I've referenced or apps or whatever, is the exchange rates are usually more than fair. And you can also save some money on like transfer fees or maybe even ATM fees if you are really tactical about it. I've also been asked if PayPal works in Thailand, and from what I've seen, yes, I use PayPal pretty frequently. The only thing to take note of is I set up my PayPal while I was in America and had already used it, so it was all approved and everything before I got to Thailand. I'm not really sure how it would work if you don't have one and you're trying to set it up in Thailand. So that is something to think about. But if you already got one, you're probably good. The Windy app or windy.com. Now, especially this time of year, and say you're coming on vacation in slow season, rainy season, you're planning on running around Thailand, knowing what the weather's doing can be pretty essential. Even if you don't mind the rain, the logistics of Thailand change when it's raining. Like in my own situation, over the next couple months, I've got quite a few plans of places that we're gonna be, videos we're gonna be making. So kind of having an idea of what we can and can't do at those times is gonna be super important. I've been checking out Windy for the past month and a half-ish since it started raining here in Pattaya. And from what I could tell, it's actually really accurate. I haven't paid attention to the weather in a long time, but I feel like from what I remember, it was never really right. But with Windy, the days are pretty much always right, whether it's going to rain. Maybe the time of day varies a little bit, but from what I've seen, pretty clutch. Okay, so this is another one that's been around for quite a while. I think I remember seeing it essentially right when I got to Thailand, but honestly at first I was a little bit hesitant to use it. If you don't know, with 12Go you can book everything from taxis, ferries, buses, trains all over Thailand. I was just a little bit worried about like the connectiveness between a third-party app and like the train or bus companies in Thailand. Like I said, over the next month or two, I've got quite a few plans and I've got quite a few of those bookings through 12Go, so that will be the real test for me. But especially with all the reviews from other creators and people visiting Thailand, I'm pretty confident that it'll be fine. If you're coming to Thailand in 2024, I would say just go ahead and download these, bookmark the sites, whatever you need to do. Maybe you'll use them a lot, maybe you won't use them at all, but all of them, from my understanding, minus Ding Tone, are all free. So it's not gonna cost you anything to sign up. But if you are here long enough, I think they will all prove their worth. Thank you so much for watching. If you're on your way to Thailand and you would like to learn a little bit more about what to expect, you know what to do.